This game was probably my first game that I played against a human opponent for weeks, maybe even a month or longer, I don't know, but at least a long time. Again, as usual, it was a blitz game, and again, as usual, I was black in this game, so let's see what happened here. My opponent played e4, I played c5, knight to c3, knight to c6, f4, e6, bishop b5, I was thinking this many times. I believe also bishop b5 is the, well, it's not actually the main move here, but it's a book move. It comes on, I would say, on the third option in my book anyway. So I've seen bishop b5 many times. Here I think the main move here is d5, but I actually played knight to d4. And I mean, if you play bishop b5 with the white pieces, you have to be prepared for knight d4, and the idea is to simply, well, at least I did that, to simply trade off the knight with the bishop and then play d5 or something like that, and then when the game opens up, or if the game opens up, you will have the bishop pair. So he played knight to f3, which is actually out of book. I believe the main move here is bishop c4 for the simple reason to save the bishop more or less. So if you play bishop b5, you have to be prepared for knight d4, unless you just accept the trade. Okay, so you play knight to f3, and here, since he didn't move the bishop, so I took the bishop, knight takes b5, knight takes b5, a6. I suppose I could have tried d5 immediately here. If, for example, d5, e takes d5, e takes d5, maybe there's an annoying check or something, but nothing to worry about. I can play bishop e7, or yeah, that's obviously the best move. I don't want to play knight to e7. Okay, so but I played a6, so he went back, and now I'll play d5. I think it would have been a lot easier to play d5 immediately, but okay, no big deal. He played d3. And well, my next move, I don't know if it's particularly good, especially when I have the bishop pair. I'll play d4. That kind of closes in my bishops here pretty badly, but maybe I should play knight to f6 instead, or maybe even play the pawn takes e4, and then probably knight takes. Anyway, I'll play d4. He play knight e2, knight f6. He castled. I play bishop e7, queen e1. Maybe he wants to, well, try to do something against my king side here. Well, I had some momentum on my queen side, so I played b5. And also, I don't quite want to castle yet because I don't know what he wants to do. Maybe he'll try queen g3 or something like that. And also, these two pawns could easily, let's say, be pushed forward. He can play e5, he can play f5. And then, you know, the attack on my king side is not very far from happening, actually. So he played bishop d2, bishop b7, so still I'm not in a rush to castle. But after queen g3, I did castle because well, I can always step aside. I can play king h8 and then play knight to e8 or something like that, just to, if I ever have to protect my g7 pawn or something. But you know, it's a little bit dangerous, and also I don't think it's quite necessary at this point to castle anyway, because again, he can always play f5, e5. But after queen g3 castles, I was kind of expecting either of those two moves. Probably f5. Yeah. Anyway, I think f5 is better than e5, because if e5, I always have knight d5, and well, or something else, I don't know. But I think f5 would more or less force the game to open up. He played rook e1 here, king h8. King h8 is, well, if f5, for example, then he has the option to play bishop to h6, but now we can't do that, obviously, because I can just take the bishop. But also I can play knight to e8. I can even use my rook if I have to. But I suppose the weakest point in my game right now is the h7 pawn. And the only piece that is actually, well, except for my king, protecting the pawn is the knight on f6, but the knight on f6 can easily be kicked out. Even if he plays f5, he can always respond with, unless I take, of course, e5. Okay, he played knight e5. I'll play rook c8 because maybe or maybe not I want to play c4. Queen h3. So now we can start to see that something could potentially open up here. I mean, or be attacked. Luckily, I haven't played h6 because that would have been a target for his bishop here. So yeah, I'm not quite convinced over my safety here. I play knight d7. Probably, well, I have to do something obviously, but I'm not quite sure if that's the best either. It's very difficult actually to know what is good. But on the other hand, that knight on e5 is a little bit annoying. Okay, I'll try knight d7. So he actually accepted the trade. So, well, I took back. And now he did play f5. I played e takes f5, rook takes f5, and now after g6 we had a queen trade. So at this point I was kind of relieved because now that the queens have come off, the attack is not as strong. I'm not really saying that he had an attack, but you know, something, especially in blitz games, could open up and become dangerous. I played bishop f6 for the simple reason that after, yeah. But instead of that, I was kind of expecting this move immediately. But his idea is that if, for example, I play, I don't know what I was thinking here. So I was thinking that this, if I ever move my rook somewhere, then this pawn on f7 is under attack. So, and also I can't, obviously a silly mistake to play king g7 here, but okay, I played bishop g7, bishop h6, king g8. Okay, so we had a trade again. Rook h f3, and now I could play f5 because this pawn is pinned. So he played knight g3, I took, so now the rooks came off, knight takes, and I also took the knight because I have this rather nice majority on the queen side here. Okay, so we have a little race. And I haven't analyzed this game, so I have no idea who made a mistake or where. It's not that important actually, because you don't have an engine running while you're playing anyway, so I'm just showing you the game as it was played. Okay, g4. If I ever start something on the queen side, I have a door, let's say an entrance here to f4. And also I can force his king to move back, and then I will probably take this pawn. So I think g4 is actually a mistake, because for the simple reason that, for example, if g3 now, it stops my king from entering on f4. But on the other hand, I'm more or less forcing him to do something anyway, as you will see. So anyway, he played g4. And here I play c4, and if I ever have to, want to, or need to, I can play d3, takes, and then after king to e3, I can force him to move back with d2, and then I will take this pawn. Especially now, when I actually do have the option to play king to f4. Yeah, so let's see. Okay, so here I played h4. I think h4 is also a mistake because he's kind of using up all his moves. I think I was planning to play, that's probably the reason why he did that. He wanted to stop me from playing g5. Okay, so I played h6 first. He played b3, and here I played g5, so now his king can never get in this way at least. He took the pawn, I took back, so yeah, we were using up all our pawn moves, and eventually something has to give, and that's obviously the king. But now this has become very easy, as we will see, because now that I will simply use what I said, I will force his king back, and the only way to do that, and it doesn't help anything to take over here, because I will just take back, and then I will still have these two pawns. So obviously I'm never going to play something silly like c takes b3 or something. That would just be absolutely ridiculous. So he played b4, so again he's using up his pawn moves. And here I played king d6. I just wanted to see what his next move would be. So he moved his king because he only has, I would say, one pawn move left. Well, you could say that I don't have any pawn moves either, but I do have these two pawns. One on d4 and the other on c4. So he can't really do anything else but move his king. So he played king e2, I played king e6. So again, we're kind of dancing around here just to see what happens. And so we came back to the original, so nothing's really changed. And here I played d3. Okay, that looks like I'm just losing a pawn, but in fact that's not true. He took, and I will also look at what happens if white plays. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, okay, no, sorry, I meant if black plays that. So let's see, for example, say that this happens and then c3. That would just lose the game immediately. So let's take a look at that as well. Okay, so I play d3, and the idea is to force his king to move. So it doesn't matter if he plays. Well, obviously he can play king e3 because then I would just take the pawn on c2. He doesn't queen, but what he does is that I'm forcing his king back anyway. Okay, so he took my pawn, I took back, and now king e3, and now d2, so I'm forcing his king back. So he took the pawn, I took his pawn, and here he actually resigned. Well, it's very simple to see exactly why he resigned. I will win this pawn, and there's nothing he can do to stop that. For example, if he plays king e2, I would just go here. So well, this is just no way. And if he tries to, let's say, you get down all the way down here, then while he's eating up my pawns, I would have just made a new queen with this pawn. But just to illustrate that, so let's say, for example, he goes here. Well, let's say even if he goes here, I will just go here, here, takes, and then all this stuff happening down there. So he still hasn't managed to get his pawns rolling, and now we can see how easy it is. Yeah, so what else? So that didn't work, and it doesn't matter if he, for example, plays this move, makes no difference whatsoever. He can never stop my king from escorting my pawn anyway. It's too late for that. So let's say he would try something like this. I'll take, and then he goes here, and then he follows my king, then I'll push. Well, actually, I don't think I would even push. I would just leave his king over there, and then he would take, then I would take, and then I would just make a new queen over here. So he can't really do anything. So, and also let's go back. So, oh, by the way, like I said, he resigned. Let's see exactly where he resigned. Okay, here it was. So he simply resigned because of that. Sometimes you can use, even if you can stop this pawn, there's no way he'll end up get there in time to stop your other pawns. But I think white will lose in any case. He will probably use his last king pawn move, and that would make things even easier for me. Anyway, so let's see. Yeah, I mentioned another move here. So we were dancing around here, and then I'll play this move. And I said, what happens if white does this, and then I push my pawn? Well, that would actually lose the game, I believe. Because he will just take this pawn and then have two passed pawns, and there's just no way to do anything. So let's say, for example, even if he will allow me to get this pawn, let's say just a silly move now, like this, and I'll take this, I can't stop this pawn. Yeah, so that would just lose the game. So for that reason, the pawns came off, and I'm forcing his king back. So he took the pawn, I took his pawn, and here he resigned.